Hello, this is Calvin Idle. Welcome to the Lavender Table, a web-based talk show for and about the LGBT community. And now, let's keep the conversation going with your host, Gary Elgin.
Hello, and thank you for joining me here on the Lavender Table. What you're about to see is my interview with Chaz Bono. Now, I have to tell you, I never in my wildest dreams thought I would have the opportunity to interview such a outspoken and famous public figure. I got the opportunity. And how it came about was through the University of Tennessee and the Middle Tennessee State University. UTK had a program last year called Outstanding. It was a conference on LGBT issues. And during that conference, I was invited to set up a table. One of the speakers, or one of the presenters, was Joshua Rigsby. He was the president of MT Lambda from MTSU. Now, Joshua is a great guy, and we hit it off right away. What he's working on, he said, was bringing Chaz Bono to Murfreesboro. And I thought, wow, you know, that's huge. But student organizations are able to do that. And so I thought, great, wonderful, sign me up. And so we talked about what the possibility of my being part of that could be. And so a year later, I was sitting across from Chaz Bono. Now, I have to tell you, it didn't always go so smoothly throughout the year. Not with Joshua. Joshua was a dream. He really was. But agents can be fussy. I have dealt with agents, and I've dealt with celebrities of some level before, and, you know, we all have our times with that kind of organization. But Joshua tried his best to write everything into the contract, to the point where he even wrote me into the contract, Lavender Table. And then I thought I was set. I was set to interview Chaz Bono, and I was very excited. And then a phone call came. This is kind of how it went. Joshua? Hey, Joshua, it's Gary. Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd call because you had mentioned that the contracts might be signed today. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Well, this is going to be great. And I want to thank you, you know, for really sticking up for me and making this happen for the Lavender Table. It really is a big deal for me. What? Problem? What problem? Oh, riders. Yeah, I'm familiar with contract riders, sure. It's when the two parties pass it back and forth and add and delete so that everybody's happy. Yeah. Huh? It's affected the interview. How? As time allows. Oh. Yeah, but that's okay. We've got it all scheduled. And he's supposed to arrive at a certain time, and you're in charge of getting him there, so, I mean, we shouldn't be worried about that. You've got that handled. Well, yeah. Celebrities can do what celebrities will do, yeah. Well, there's nothing much we can do at this point. It is signed. It's got the writer on it. Right. Okay, well, we'll cross our fingers and hope for the best. All right. I'll see you soon, and thank you again. That's pretty much how it went. It was a done deal as far as I was concerned, and Joshua was pretty confident. So the big day arrives, actually the day before, and I was setting up a table to do part of their Outfest, their little festival out on the knoll at MTSU. And I had my photographs and my business cards, and I had a big bowl of what some people thought were Fruity Pebbles, but they were off-brand Trix cereal. And I had a little scoop, and I was hollering out, "Get your Fruity Balls! I've got Fruity Balls!" And I was handing some to each student who would come by and take it. They loved it. They loved it. They laughed and laughed. Some people passed by and nearly did a triple take because they had no idea what I was talking about, but they heard Fruity and Balls. I love doing that kind of thing. But now Joshua comes up to me and says, "We may have a problem." The day before the interview. I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Well, the agent says no interview." I said, "But we're written into the contract." I keep going back to that because it was such a big deal for me. He says, "Yeah, but he doesn't want to do it." He says he doesn't think it's Chaz, he thinks it's just the agent. But, so we're kind of stuck. And what I didn't know is that the advisor was now going online with the agent. And the advisor was going to make it happen. And did. A few hours later, the advisor came up and said, "It's on." So I was very excited, and so is Joshua. This was the biggest event that he's ever been involved with, and it was poised to be a huge success. So, fast forward to the day of. We're worried because Chaz might be late, and it could mess up our whole plan. So here we are, the night of. I've schlepped all of my equipment across campus, and believe me, there was a lot. I had my huge camera, my 8-year-old Panasonic camera that has been giving me so much trouble over the years, it's almost not worth taking it. But I had no other camera at the time. And so I schlepped everything across campus, and we set up. I had a volunteer from MTSU, an AV student, Kevin, who has done my camera work and producing previously, was unable to come. He has his own photography business, and he was quite busy. And so I had a volunteer. They set up the camera, they set up the mic, they did a mic check, we had lights. It was fantastic. I hope you will enjoy what we have with my interview with Chaz Bono on the Lavender Table. Chaz, thank you for sitting down with us.
Thanks for having me.
In your autobiography transition, you said on reassignment surgery, "If I had been anonymous, I would have done it 10 years previous." Can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm not talking about surgery per se. I'm just really talking about transitioning. I think what I'm talking about is that for me, probably the biggest hurdle to have to get over, and why it took me so long to transition, was the idea of having to do it, public eye, and so many people watching and judging, and I had a lot of fear around that I had to work through.
discrimination from their elected officials?
That's a hard thing to do. Try to elect different officials is really the best thing to do. I mean, it's, there's certain elected officials that you're not going to change their minds. So the best thing you can do is the next election cycle try to oust them and elect different officials who represent the community.
What do you say to the LGBTQ person who says, I'm not political?
It's not something that I personally understand, but we're all different and we all are excited about different things, I guess. To me, it's kind of impossible to be a minority of any kind and not be political when you aren't treated equally in society. I don't understand not having an interest in that. I wanted to try to do something about it, but there are people who aren't as interested in it. And, it's not my job to tell anybody else how to live their life.
You've done so much to raise awareness about being transgender. What do you say to that young person right now living their life with questions, with struggles? What's on the other side?
Well, that was like 3 questions you just asked me. So, anybody who's kind of questioning this, I always would just say, take your time and try to get as much information as possible. And this isn't something that you want to rush into. For me, I just tried to seek out as much information as I could. When I started to realize this about myself, I tried to find as many books and films and documentaries and stuff out there that I could get and to really see the similarities. And also, now the internet, there's so much information on the internet, there's so many just kind of personal documentations of people's transitions and everything, videos and stuff. So there's, really, I would say just kind of take advantage of that and gather as much information as possible. And then, what was the next one? Just people who are struggling, this.
What's on the other side?
For me, what was on the other side was something, as an amazing life. An amazing life. But it's hard because there are, for some trans people, you lose a lot. And so it's really how you go into it. And unfortunately, for some people, they lose so much that it's not always as joyous an experience as it was for you. You lose your family, your friends, and your job. It can be very difficult. So I think it's something that you really need to go into with your eyes wide open and know you're discriminated. And that's kind of that's really the way I went into it. And not what I've ever really an amazing experience, but it's definitely something that you have to be ready for some painful things as well.
On a lighter note, the Lavender Table has its own personal chef. Chef Joseph Lowry has cooked for Lady Bird Johnson, among other people. He wanted to ask you, do you cook at home?
I do, yeah. I do cook at home.
And what is your favorite dish?
It's kind of changed a lot. I don't really have, it's hard to say. I've really radically changed the way I eat. So, I don't really, the stuff that I used to love, I don't eat anymore. So I don't really have that favorite dish anymore.
I've struggled with weight myself over the years. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
Yes. I enjoyed my time with Chaz Bono. I found him friendly, open, honest, and very patient with someone just starting in this field. I hope you enjoy what we have here. And again, apologies for the sound, but it is important to listen to these voices in our community. Let's keep the conversation going.